Anybody else like to share anything like Dr. Amma, Dr. Vijay, or anybody else? Please say it. Just a
Yes,
2 or 3 minutes.
Dr. Thomas, if I may add a little to what David has already shared.
Okay.
I think David did a good justice to the questions, so I may not repeat the answers he gave. But I want to situate this in the context of the Bible to answer the first question with both yes and no. And I want to make reference to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 16 from verse 14. It says, the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. Verse 16, the servants of David, Saul said, let the king now command his servants, which are before you, to seek a man who is a cunning player on harp, and it will come to pass, whenever the evil spirit from God is upon you, he will play with his hand, and you will be well. Then in verse 23, it says, and it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took a harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. So I can answer confidently from the Bible. Yes, God may permit, is a permissive will, not his perfect will, that when the good spirit that God has given us is frustrated out because of disobedience, we create a vacuum. And that vacuum that is created out of our own human autonomy of the will, we now attract and magnet unclean spirits or evil spirits. So because God will allow us to have our choice, it will appear as if it is God that is bringing evil spirits or madness to people. So if we follow this biblical story, Saul was suffering from what we may call today obsessive compulsive disorder. He was paranoid about everybody. He wanted to kill David. He wanted to kill Jonathan, his son. He was so afraid of himself, insecure. And so he had this depression and was acting abnormally. But before now, the same Saul, when he was obedient, attracted the Holy Spirit, that he started prophesying. And people were saying, is Saul also among the prophets? So we can answer yes. God can permit when we have violated certain conditions, and such conditions and situations may arise. But then what is the remedy? We found here that mental health care was offered. David came with music. David played music, and occasionally Saul will get sedated and calmed. And that was a therapy. I want to stop only here with this analogy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Emma. Beautiful presentation. I just want to, I will give opportunity for 1 or 2 more people to make a comment. There are 2 aspects I want to make mention here. In the case of the blind person, Jesus said, neither he or his parents committed sin, it's for the glory of God. But that doesn't mean all the problems can be interpreted in the light of that word. Yes, everything is for the glory of God. Because of our sin, the problem happened. Because of other people's problem, the difficulties can happen. And in this particular case, it was for the glory of God. And also, we have to take into consideration each Bible passage has its own uniqueness. So we have to be extremely careful in interpreting the scripture and applying that situation to another situation. Anybody else like to share something, please? Anybody else?
Yes, just a comment on this question number 3. What is the reason people consider mental illness as evil possession? And this is very true in our Indian context here also. Anything with mental illness or problem, we relate it to evil possession, at least in the Christian world. And then we try to say that the person is possessed, he needs deliverance, all these things. Other sickness is a normal sickness. When you get sick bodily, then you go get a treatment. But for very few people are, uh, trying to diagnose or come to the conclusion that it's mental illness, it's not possession. So I have a question here: how to really make out whether the person is possessed or whether is mentally ill? I have a question: how to really make out that, and how to seek the remedy for it.
Okay. I think what I will do is I'm going to touch on your subject maybe in the concluding part of this thing. And thank you for that question. Anybody else?
Dr. Thomas?
Yes, please.
It's just a personal, statement from me. I've not witnessed demonic possession in my life. Looking at anybody I've come across, have you really witnessed this, or anybody on the call?
Can you repeat that question for me, please?
Yeah, sure. I was just asking if, in your experience, have you come across cases of demonic possession in your professional, personal life?
Okay, I have seen it, and I have handled that type of situation. And maybe by the end of today's session, you will find the answer for it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. If nobody has any comment to make, we will proceed with our class. And in case there is a disturbance in the internet, computer, our communication system, please stay, and hopefully we'll be able to.
Yeah, so I already see.
Please, please mute the phone, please. Please mute the phone. Please mute the phone, please. Okay, all right. Let me, since our time is running and we are trying to conclude this portion of our study, let me remind the important points once again. When Jesus healed the people, it was a direct confrontation with the powers. In other words, casting out demons involved Jesus directly addressing and commanding evil spirit to leave, often with a specific word or phrase. For example, leave. This is distinct, separate, or different from healing miracles, where the focus is on the physical body of the afflicted person. For example, he applied, like some mud and say, go and wash. or he touched the lady with the bleeding problem, touched his garment. But in the case of demon possession, he directly commanded them to leave the person. And also we should not forget that Jesus was demonstrating his authority over spiritual realm or spiritual world. Jesus has the ability to cast out demons, showed his power over spiritual forces, not just physical ailments. And also we see in this particular situation, there was uniqueness in the response from those who are affected. People possessed by demons often exhibited dramatic reactions like screaming, convulsing, or speaking with a different voice. And that demonstrates the power of the demonic presence. This contrasts with some healing miracles where the person might experience a different type of change. And when Jesus healed, there was a difference between the Old Testament prophets. Unlike the Old Testament prophets who relied on God's power, because they were not Jesus. Jesus cast out demons with his own authority. And that shows his divinity. The Old Testament prophets acted as intermediaries. They need to get the power from God to cast out the demons or the sickness, while Jesus commanded with his own word. So, with that, I will proceed with more details. And I'm hoping and praying we'll be able to conclude the session with a summary. Otherwise, we have to continue. You know, as I mentioned you earlier, these are subjects we have to study thoroughly, but at the same time, our time is very limited. The question is, does the Bible speak about the evil spirit? Is it same as the mental illness? Do the symptoms have similarity? So, Mr. Vijay, I hope this will give some answer to your question. Jesus clearly cast out spirits out of so many people. If anybody is interested to get all the Bible verses, I can give you Matthew 4:24, 8:16, Mark chapter 1, verse 32, Mark chapter 4, verse 31. But we have 6 specific cases in the New Testament. The demon-possessed the man at Gerasene. In three Gospels, Matthew 8:28, Mark chapter 5, verse 2, Luke chapter 8, verse 26. And this is one of the prominent words people use it, saying evil possession and mental illnesses are the same. It is not the same. The symptoms may be looking like, same. Then the second one is a demon-possessed man who is non-speaking. Matthew chapter 9:32, Luke chapter 11. Then the third case is a demon-possessed blind man, but he is also non-speaking. Matthew 12:22. Then there is a lady. The fourth miracle or fourth incident is the Canaanite woman, daughter. Matthew 15:22, Mark 7:25. And the boy with epilepsy. Matthew, Mark, and Luke mention his story. Then lastly, the man in the synagogue at Capernaum. Matthew chapter 1, Luke chapter 4. The Bible does not speak directly to mental illness apart from Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 28 we studied last week. Then in Psalm 34, David pretending to be abnormal. He is not abnormal, but he is pretending to be abnormal. Then we go into different examples very briefly so that you all can refresh your mind. If we look at the life of Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel chapter 4, verse 31, 32, and it says, "O King Nebuchadnezzar, this message is for you. You are no longer ruler of the kingdom. You will be driven from human society. You will live in the field with wild animals, and you will eat grass like a cow." While we know mental illness can affect people, but these type of situations are very rare or very hard to find. So because of this incident, we cannot say mental illness and the evil possession, when God become angry with you, you will be like this. We have to be extremely careful. This is one particular incident where God said, you will do these things. I haven't seen any mentally ill person eating the grass. And this is why I keep on saying from the very beginning, because we see some similarity, we cannot say that person has mental illness. I will say a few examples. The story of Jonah, we all are famous. What happened to him? We don't have time to go into detail. He was in a situation we call depression. It is a temporary
Yeah, I kind of.
depression. Can we say that as a mental illness? I won't. Because all the depressions, we cannot say they are mentally unstable people. We all go through times of depression. So that is one example. We have to be extremely careful because somebody has some symptoms. We should never say they have mental health issues. Yes, depression, when it has various other symptoms, serious symptoms, suicidal tendencies, even Jonah had. But it lasted only little time. Then in the case of David, which we already mentioned, and David also played the musical instrument. And also, when we look at Psalm 6:6-7, David recorded many songs of lament that reflect his pain and agony. But that doesn't mean he was mentally ill. And then 1 Samuel, it says, he pretended. Some translation use the word insane and madman. But again, that doesn't mean he was mentally ill. Elijah, he underwent a period of depression, and he came out of that. Can we learn anything from the story of Elijah? In one of my master's degree in counseling, I mentioned Elijah's story. One of the things we have to keep in mind, and I'm requesting all of you who are active in churches, pastors, leaders, look for Elijahs among you, please. Look for Elijahs among you. If your church is 50 to 100 people church, there may be one or two Elijahs sitting there, gave up all the hope. King Saul may have suffered from depression, and that is when David played for him. Can music therapy help? Yes. When depression happens, can choking happen? Yes. Can choking happen because of evil possession? Yes. One question I like all of you to debate. If King Saul had severe, serious mental illness, will God allow him to be the king for his people? Please study this in your own leisure time. Personally, I don't think so. That is why I repeatedly saying once again, we have to be extremely careful branding somebody as mentally ill. They may have issues, they may have problems. And then the case of Judah, the disciple of Jesus. What happened to him? He denied Christ. He went through a period of depression, remorse, guilt, and then he committed suicide. So because Judah committed suicide, can we say he was mentally ill? I will tell you one example. We all have times of fever, cold. Certain times we overcome it with one tablet, some water drinking, and some rest. And very rarely we go to hospital. But if that become a severe illness problem, then we naturally will go to the hospital. And that time we can say, yes, he has illness. Even the other one, he is ill, but not to the extent he need medication. The same with mental health also. Another example is the story of Martha. Martha was overwhelmed by the demands as a host when Jesus visited. Jesus told her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and upset about many things when only one thing is necessary. So the question to you is, including me, can we say Martha had mental illness? No. So if somebody have going through a time of anxiety or upset moments, it doesn't mean they have mental health issue. Anxiety is very common. In the book of Philippians chapter 4, 6-7, it says, we all go through depression, anxiety, and worries. That doesn't mean we have mental health issues. And then anger is a very big issue. I'm not going to deal with that subject now. I'll be taking 1 or 2 or 3 sessions on anger later in our class. But at the same time, people with bipolar disorder, maybe with a severe depression, they go through stages of anger and they may need a treatment. So all the anger is not a mental health issue. And I hope that is clear to you. So maybe your spouse, your husband is angry for some minor reasons. Husband or wife, or your pastor, or your layman, your treasurer, or your secretary in the church. That doesn't mean they have mental health issues. But at the same time, if anger prolongs, it becomes a pattern in their life, never-ending problems. That is the time you have to see a professional and to see whether he has or she has mental health issues. Then, demon possession and mental disorders are different, although they may happen together and interact with one another in the same person. Last week we discussed it, and this week I already told you 6 incidents. So the evil possession can affect our physical health also. Demon possessed people can go naked just like mentally ill people. So, all the people who go naked are not mentally ill people, or are they evil possessed people? And this is where we need to have the gift of discernment. Trained people, whether they are showing some symptoms which we can see it as a mental health issue. Both of these people can become very fierce, angry, violent, but they may even do some supernatural things. Epilepsy, intoxication, brain problem, all these things show some similar symptoms. Violent behaviors, antisocial personality, which is a psychological problem, they also can become violent. They can become aggressive. Can demons possess people become aggressive and violent? Yes, they can. Multiple personality disorders, bipolar, all these people can have similar symptoms. I already mentioned going naked can be common with both the people because they don't know what they are doing. I think I mentioned to you before, 3-4 years back when I was almost, I thought I was going to die. I was going through severe physical problem. The doctor could not find it. I threw off all my clothes. I had to apologize to all the nurses. I knew I was doing, but I was helpless because I was totally or completely in pain and in agony. But that doesn't mean I was mentally ill. For centuries, people associated mental illness with evil possession. But let us be happy nowadays that God who gave us Bible, remember this, I repeat it, the God who gave us Bible, the God who gave us Jesus Christ, the God who gave us mercy and compassion in its heart, also gave us lot of modern things like giant ships, big aircraft, like a double-decker buses. I'm sure some of you have traveled in such aircraft, which can fly for hours. All the luxuries and facilities are there, which was not there 50 or 60 years before. I think those who are in the medical field can say there was a time the present day anesthesia medicines were not available. So you can imagine the way the surgery was done. Thank God we have now very good anesthesia medicines, very good medicines, healthy food, and different sciences for our happy life. So the psychology and psychiatry is a gift from God. God has given us the ability to understand mind. And also keep in mind, the life is going lot of changes. Climate change, stress is increasing, changes in family life and work life, iPhone, TV, travel, social changes, and pressure on our life is on the increase. So we should not look down the science of psychology and psychiatry or counseling with an evil intention. And God has given us. Bible is clear about us having gift. Some of you ask that question. If you want to differentiate between these things, pray to God for the gift. Study, read, look at the videos, look at all the researches which is happening. The gift given to one another, some can do mighty deeds, and some people can prophesy, to another discernment of spirits, to another variety of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. We all must pray to have the gift of discernment of spirit. Those who are interested in counseling, please pray for that gift. I may have mentioned, or I will mention it now, I will take 1 or 2 classes on this subject also, on cult. The cult play a significant role in exploiting human search for answers. Demon possession is a spiritual problem. Many cult leaders have this problem. Spiritual, social, psychological, and physical problems can be complicated. Doctors are human beings. Sometimes they find it very hard to diagnose. I like to make one important point here. The best way to treat the problems are, I'm not talking of mental health issue alone. At times, even the physical problem. That is why hospitals have chaplains, pastor, priest, bishop, elders, psychologist, psychiatrist, physician, sociologist, counselors, all need to work together to elevate the pain and suffering of human beings. So all these people have to work together. And that is one main reason almost all the hospitals in America have chaplains for spiritual health and emotional support, psychologists, psychiatrists also. In summary, let's go into a few important points. Psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, the medical doctors, they all have various tasks. And everyone have to work together to help the people. Sometimes the medical doctors refer the patients to me. They cannot find answer. I still remember long ago, one girl was referred to me by my friend's doctors. She had asthma. She went to so many doctors. Finally, she went to a doctor who knows me. I also wondered why a patient with asthma problem sent to me. But I was able to help that person. And that person went through abuse from her own family. I don't want to say who the person is because it's very traumatic. So this girl was fearful. Her fear was when she get married, will her husband come to know this? It took me several sessions to help that lady. And with the help of my colleague friends, doctors, we were able to help her. And today she is happily married. I'm talking of such incidents. Now, if we look at Bible for finding cure for schizophrenia, you may not find it. So that is where we must not make mistake. Or Bible doesn't speak, so that is evil spirit. And remember, Jesus came for our spiritual needs. That was his primary concern. His goal was to free us from the clutches of devil and take us to heaven. That was his goal. Did he heal the physical problem? Yes. Did he feed the hungry? Yes. Did he comfort the people? Yes. Did he raise the dead? Yes. Mental health was part of it. Bible is not a book of mental health issues. It's a spiritual book. In summary, I hope this will answer many of your questions. I will go slowly. We have a few more minutes. Demons have nothing to do with Christ. Both are different. But mentally ill people can be deeply religious. I have seen mentally ill people becoming very religious. They can even preach wonderful sermons about Jesus also. But I don't think a demon-possessed person will do that. Demons usually speak understandable language. I will repeat. Demons usually speak understandable language, except maybe in isolated cases. Many mentally ill people can have flight of ideas. In the years of my practice, I use that word maybe thousands of times. When we analyze, assess the patient, a flight of ideas, they cannot stick to one point, they keep on changing. So that is a language counselors, psychologists, and psychiatrists use, flight of ideas. They talk unrelated subjects or quote unquote nonsense. It doesn't make any sense to us. Demons could speak through others, or we call trance. Like, for example, if a demon-possessed person is in the room, they can affect other people also. An experience of trance. Mentally ill people do not speak through other people. So that's very clear. Few more points. Demons can impact others in the room with them. If you are with a demon-possessed person in the house, it can influence your life. Mentally ill people are limited to themselves. Demons want to be secretive. They hide a lot of things. They do not voluntarily admit their presence. You remember Jesus questioning, who are you? What are you? Then they reveal themselves. But mentally ill people cannot hide their sickness. Maybe in some isolated cases for the time being, yes, they can. But generally speaking, they cannot hide their sickness, even though they usually do not admit their sickness. One of the biggest struggles, if a mentally ill person is your spouse, husband or wife, or a child, or your brother, or your sister, it is not easy for you to convince other people, church, pastors and priests, elders, my husband is mentally ill. Because at times they won't see the symptoms. And hardly anyone will admit they have a problem. Prayer and fasting can help demon-possessed people and heal them. I repeat, prayer and fasting can help demon-possessed people and heal them. Can God heal the mentally ill people through fasting and prayer? Yes, they can. Do evil possessed people respond to medicine? No. Mentally ill people respond to medicine? Yes. Therapy does not influence the mentally ill people. Influence the evil possessed people. Mentally ill people can respond positively to therapies, counseling, exercise, music therapy, medicine, psychotherapy. Can prayer help them? Yes, definitely. Demons cannot control themselves. Matthew chapter 9, verse 33. The blind person who is non-speaking is an example. I'll be closing in another 2-3 minutes. Demon-possessed people can have new personality. Matthew chapter 8, verse 9. Suddenly they shouted. And telling Jesus, why you came to torment us? Demons may reveal themselves. Mark chapter 5:9. That is where one person said, my name is Legion, because we are many. Mentally ill people hardly do that. They won't reveal themselves. They will not say, I have a problem. Then, demon-possessed people can also have supernatural knowledge. Mark chapter 1, verse 23-24. I know who you are. Demons know Jesus. But mentally ill people won't do that, except maybe in isolated cases. Demons can harm us. Mark chapter 9, verse 22. Cast him into the fire. You know, that person suffering, he was cast into the fire. And lastly, demon possessed may have unusual strength. You remember that man was chained. He broke the chain. Mark chapter 5, verse 4 and 5. Shackles and chains could not control him. In concluding, symptoms can overlap. Someone having a temporary depression, worries, or anxiety does not mean they have mental illness. But that is what we commonly understand. And this is where God's grace is needed. Gift of discernment and scientific knowledge and faith in God comes to help us. Is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes. So with this, I conclude this portion. From next week onwards, we'll be dealing with different subjects. Thank you everyone for attending. And now I will stop the recording. Please stay for 2-3 minutes, and then we will close the session.